But hello, hi.
Hi. Love you guys. I'm so excited to be here. But I'm so excited for this because I know, like I listened to the podcast when you guys first did the Book of Azreal, and I was like, am I in love with them? A little.
Yeah, no, I feel like we're like friends.
No, we're definitely
Yeah,
friends in
Yeah.
our
yeah,
minds.
100%. I
I feel
have
like
your name tattooed on my wrist. You just can't see it. So,
Oh, see?
well, if you get video back, we'll let you
You'll
know
have to
because now
look
I
that
want to
up.
see it.
yeah.
But yeah, so we are here obviously with Amber Nicole, the author of the Book of Azreal, and the newest addition to the series, The Throne of Broken Gods. I keep being like the Gods and Monsters, but I'm like that's the name of the series.
Series.
The
I
book
know.
Yeah.
is Throne of Broken Gods.
Yeah.
We're like the worst at remembering names, so you're gonna have to probably help us, even just like with
That's
pronunciation.
fine.
Actually, I feel
I
like
feel like the
pronunciation.
pronunciations on this one were. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you for that. Because I feel like I was able to read them and like say them perfectly, not be like, how do I break this name down? Like, I feel like I got it from the
right.
get go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Okay,
Cameron,
works.
very easy to remember.
Yeah.
Diana. Like, we cannot go wrong here.
Super easy. Yeah.
How do you come up with these names? I feel like, well, your names
Girl.
are pretty. They
Yeah, I
weren't like too
wanted,
hard.
so, like, of course, wanted fantasy names. So a lot of either like research or looking up different stuff, or like sometimes, which this sounds so weird, but like something will pop in my head. I'm like, I like how this tone sounds. Let me switch it around, and
Okay.
then I like make up a name. But funny story, Nevera is actually a name from me and my sister's childhood because we used to like make up stories when we were little. And so Nevera, Drake, and Ethan are all like quote unquote characters we made up when we were younger. So I was like,
Oh my god,
That is
yeah,
so
so it's pretty
cool.
cool.
That's so creative.
that is so
Thanks.
creative. My best friend and I had like this like fake world that we lived in, and the characters' names were literally Fred and Eddie. So like we were just like not
Like you're like,
creative at all.
you're like,
Um,
I like
so
it.
yeah, like so was the world too kind of like something that you and your sister had as kids, or did you just like create the world and just like name the characters?
Completely different. So the stuff that we did when we were younger
Okay.
is completely different than what I did for this one. This book, this whole series was just so I read. Yes, I love reading, but I'm also a big TV and movie girly, and so all
Okay.
those combined kind of helped me shape my own story because it's like, okay, I love this, like I love Marvel and I love Buffy and I love like the Vampire Diaries universe, but like, what if this happened instead of this, or like there was a different twist? So that's kind of what shaped my series and world, this series and stuff. So
I
Do you?
actually was going to ask if you were a Marvel fan because like the
yes,
Yeah.
the whole aspect of like different
Yes.
universes,
yeah,
and like everybody opening the portals and like people from different universes coming in.
hmm
I'm a huge Marvel fan, so like I was like, I'm picking up a little bit of like that whole vibe, like a little Doctor Strange, like opening portals.
oh yeah, love it,
Did you
love
always want
that.
to write? I'm assuming you love some kind of storytelling since you were doing this with your sister for a while now.
Yeah, so I always wanted to write, and I used to like, back in the day, do like little fanfics. I guess I didn't know that's what it was called, but like my first fanfic was literally a Buffy one.
Oh my god.
So, and that will never see the light of day because I don't even know where it's at. But, we used to like make up stories and do that stuff. And so having it pen to paper, or like how we use like, laptops and all this, etc. Like having that and being able to have these stories come out and talk to your friends about them, or like, anyone, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I feel
It
like
really
it's
it
it's fun
is.
to be a reader right now, especially
Mm-hmm.
in like the book talk world or like on Instagram. But like,
Hmm.
it's got to be so freaking cool as a writer too. Like seeing people like gravitate towards characters, like create the art. Like
Yeah.
your world is freaking awesome. Like even Book of Azrael, like we were obsessed with it. Like it was one of those like that like you're hungover from. It stuck with you, and same with this book as well. Like it just like sticks in your mind. Like I feel like I can like physically see what you're writing, and I love that.
That makes me so happy. I'm glad you said that. I get that compliment a lot where it's like it feels like a movie because I'm a
Yeah.
very visual girly, so like I have 1,000 Pinterest boards and stuff, right? And so when I'm writing, how I see it or when I'm typing, it's like a movie in my head. So when people are like, it feels like I was like right there and it was a movie, and I was like, great, that makes me feel better because that's how I feel. I'm glad I can put that out there.
Actually, that makes like complete sense because even Teresa and I would text like with Book of Azreal and say with this one too. Like your writing is so, like, just it's amazing. Like you can, it's so easy to follow, but there's so much detail, but not so much where you're like slowing your reading pace or kind of like, whoa, this is so much world building. It's like so seamless. But you're
Yeah.
right. Like it's almost like a movie's just playing in your mind, and that's like the one thing we always go back to is like her writing's just insane. Like it's just
Yeah.
it's crazy
I
what like comes into your mind immediately the minute you start this book.
Right. I think because it's like an urban fantasy, the world building is easier to like create in your head because it's like a more modern
Yeah.
society. Whereas like, in, I don't know, ACOTAR, of course, because everybody's read that, you kind of have to build the entire world in your
Yeah.
head. So like I guess like when you were coming up with the idea for the series, did you know, I guess, from the beginning that you were definitely wanted to do more of like an urban fantasy take, or did you kind of play around with that?
Played around with the idea. So in the beginning, the early stages of this book, it was kind of based off our world, but with like my own stuff added in. And then when I was writing and getting, it finished and polished and going to send to my editor, I was like, I just want it to be its own world. I don't want it to correlate or be something to ours. You know what I mean? And so
Yep.
in the Book of Azreal and stuff, we talk about it and like how their worlds shape, et cetera, et cetera. And I still wanted like their own, like, because of the map, you see the different continents and stuff. So like, yes, it's like, taken or inspired by like X, Y, and Z, but it's still their own like world in general. So that was
Yeah.
fun.
And I was
Oh,
gonna say I
sorry.
love how. No, sorry. I was gonna say I love how, yeah, it's obviously urban, but you do kind of get that like more like, I don't want to say medieval, but like
Yeah.
you do get that fantasy aspect with like the flashbacks and
Yeah.
like just seeing Sam like work. We call him Sam, by the way.
I
Just
love
like
that.
seeing him like work his like way through like
We're
what
on,
does
like,
this
first name
mean? Like,
basis.
Uh-huh.
yeah, I was like,
We're
we were
doing it
texting. I'm
over
like,
here.
oh yeah, he's my guy
Yeah.
Sam.
My main man.
But yeah, like seeing him like work through like what's a cell phone, like,
Oh my God,
or what
he's
do
so
these
freaking cute.
more urban sayings mean. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
And that's
They're
realistic
great.
though. You know
love
what I
that
mean?
twist.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's realistic, and that's something that I wanted to keep, and it's something that's part of his personality because if you think to it, especially I have a lot of friends who speak several different languages and have been to these different places, and if you go somewhere and you're like multilingual, bilingual, you name it, not every word is going to match this word, and so Sam Keel is like this powerful king
That's
who's had to
cool.
study since he was a kid. He knows X, Y, and Z. Coming to this world, he's like, you have to like explain this to me, and not because I just don't
Yeah.
understand it. It's just that like this is we have these words, but it's different than your words. You know what I mean? So that was important to keep showing as
Yeah.
well
Yeah.
too. And I just love that he's always like, Logan, what did she just say? You know what I mean? So that was always fun for me.
I love though how like you've kept his voice like, and not, I hope I'm saying this right, but
Yeah.
like you've kept his character and his voice kind of like the same and now fluid throughout both, where he speaks like so prim and proper,
Yes.
but like you could tell that he's from a different time,
Yeah.
and that he's like this all powerful god. Like he exudes like so much confidence in the way that he speaks, and just his persona, it just comes across like so well that like,
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
Same.
Well, you
And,
know,
like, even
he's.
with like well, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say
I got
he's no.
excited.
It's no. You're fine. I love you guys. It's it's the ego. It's the arrogance. He's not gonna make it seem like that's not what I said. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
Yes.
he's gonna take the reins there.
And then we have. Oh no! I know we're all gonna. This is like
Sorry,
our
welcome
big
to
like
our
we
shit
do
show.
this. Yeah, just screaming over each other. You go next, Katie.
Thank you, Teresa Marie. I appreciate Laura here. I love that you gave us like the okay. So like I loved I liked Logan from book 1 as well, but I love that you gave us the different POVs this book.
Yeah.
Oh, because like I feel like you really got to like bond with the characters, and even Caden's like,
Yeah.
to like understand what was going on and
Yes.
like his sick and twisted mind. It's okay. Teresa says this all the time about certain villains, like. You don't like them because they're the villains. At the same time, too, you can kind of almost like understand and like not sympathize, but you can like get where they're coming from. So like his sick and twisted mind, he really loves Diana.
He does.
And
Yes.
this is all
And
for like her.
we're going to put this in this podcast. You guys hear it first. He loves Diana. Point blank, period.
Yes.
There's nothing that's going to change about that. But I wanted to showcase in this book different types of love. So we have, family, friends, love. Caden's love for her is, it's toxic. We know it's the obsessive, it's possessive, and you saw that in book 1 where he would do anything to get her back, kind of thing, by any means necessary. And to him in his brain, like, yes, he hurt her, but at the same time he's like, you can heal. But you know what I mean? But like, it's still love and it's still genuine to him given his experiences. Like, it's real to him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have Sam Keel's love that's like passionate and feeling and like, would give this girl the entire world if she like winked at him. You know what I mean? So it's very different,
Yeah.
but it's
That's
still
really
love.
cool that you thought to do that.
Yeah.
Like, all
I-
those
Yeah, I
different
love-
types of
I love
loves.
that.
I love getting into Caden's head. I love
I'm
like
so
a good
glad.
villain because and like a lot of, I guess, I mean, mostly fantasy books, right? There's always a villain. And a lot of
Yeah.
times they're very one note. Like, they just know, you just know from reading, okay, this person's bad, but you don't really know why they're bad or like
Yeah.
what motivated them to be bad. And so like, I love getting those POVs from him because, like Katie said, I don't sympathize with him. He's a
No.
horrible person, but you can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. 100%.
I understand, that he's older than Sam Kill.
Yeah.
But he's,
Sam Keel's the youngest.
so he's like, so he's like the older sibling. He feels like he's owed the things that Sam Keel was given. Mm-hmm.
And he's jealous. You have
mean,
that
like, this
sibling
is-
rivalry.
Yeah.
I can't even say it.
Right.
Yeah, you have that as
I
well
can't
too.
say
know.
that either. That's a
Yeah.
hard word.
And and that plays a big role in the series as well too. I am glad that you guys loved his POV. So here's the thing, and so I didn't tweet. Yeah, I did tweet about this, but I did post stories too because I love the Vampire Diaries, like I said, but I'm an originals girly through and through. Me and Klaus Michelson, and in that aspect, it's because like you get to see like the original family who in their story or something are villains in their own right, even though no matter what they do, and so like that was something I wanted to incorporate because like you do get Caden's POV. That doesn't make him a good guy. You still see why he does X,
Right.
Y, and Z,
Yeah.
but you get these different perspectives for like the villain. You know what I mean? And especially Diana being the villain in this one. And I just thought it's so fun. It's so fun to play around in, and it's so fun just to like see their motivations, even if they are cruel. It's still
Right. Well, like,
it
I
comes
mean,
from a place.
it's like our girl Diana. I mean, we love her,
She's a
but
villain, but I love
she's a villain, and if we were maybe, like if we were getting, I don't know, some other, maybe like Camilla's point of view or
Yeah.
Drake's point of view, she would be the villain in that story, and
Yeah.
we wouldn't like her. But because we're in her head, we understand her, and we're like, it's okay that you've killed all these people. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay that
Totally
you
have your back on this. Yeah.
Yeah, you're hurting. We get it.
Yeah, I'm like,
Right.
yeah, I support that. But if it was the other way around, if we were reading somebody else's, point of view, if the, as a main character, if it was, say Drake's story,
Yeah.
and maybe we would think Diana then was the villain. So it's like really interesting, Caden. Maybe if the book was told in his POV, we'd be like, no, we understand what he's doing, why he's doing it. But I mean, we both have talked about this, like, and we said it in the original podcast when we read Book of Azreal, but I love that Diana is a villain
Yes.
or portrayed as a villain. She's not all bad, obviously, that's why we love
Yeah.
her, but like what, I guess, inspired you to write her character that way?
So I wanted to, and me and my editor talk about this as well too, because like I'll like vent to her, and she's like, just always stay true to your character's voice, which that's not a problem. But two things: one, I was nervous with book 2 coming out because of this side of Diana, And the second one is because you got to think of it this way, like how I set her up in the first book. Like, you have this woman who loves her sister, the last living member of her family, right? Loves her sister so much that she literally, in her sense, gives up her life for her. And you have 1,000 years of them together and making time for each other. And then you remove that from her violently. There is no point or way in this story that it would be different. You know what I mean? Like, and I love that about like my readers and people I talk to, because they understand that they get, you know, going in, they knew like shit's about to go down. And it's just for the fact that it's like, you know, that's how Diana loves. And so if you take that from her, don't even let her say goodbye, like any of that thing. There is no way that she's not going to go like catatonic in a way and get revenge for what she's told everyone in book 1, like, don't touch my sister. Like, I love her. Like,
Yeah.
they're, you know, like, she broke out of Liam's, like, security building, whatever, in the book 1 just to go get her because she was hurt. So if you imagine taking that from her, you're going to lose something too, you know, like, and so that aspect, you know, like I said, it had to be that way. You go through a lot of healing with her in this book, but you also go through these steps as well with her dealing with it. And that wasn't going to change. There's, you know, she wouldn't, Diana's a character, losing Gabby, there's no reality, because I know we talked about Marvel, where she would sit and cry and then be like, okay, well, I guess we'll have to, like, defeat Caden. No. Like, she's going for blood. She's going for blood.
Right.
Eye for an eye.
She like just sat around and like cried and got upset. Like, yeah, that's so Diana. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like, after I finished a Book of Azreal, I was like, okay, no way, Gabby's dead.
Yeah.
And then like it took me like a good solid like couple of chapters. I was like, she's coming back.
Yeah, she's around the corner. Yeah.
Motherfucker, she's dead.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
That happened.
When they couldn't
everyone.
find her body at first.
Yep.
Yeah, when they were like, oh, we don't know where the body is. I was like,
Yeah.
that's suspicious.
She's coming back.
And then they're like, oh, we actually, here's her body. I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
I literally like
I
sat
know.
for a second. I was like, time out.
Yeah. I know. Editing that part too, my editor made me laugh because she was like, well, I guess that's, you know, finalized. I'm like, kind of is. But it's just...
Yeah, but, I mean, she's spreading the ashes. I was like,
Yeah.
that's pretty, she's pretty
That's
dead.
pretty legit. Yeah.
It was just funny to me, and I love that. And I love that about, like, my readers and everyone. It just makes me so happy because it's like, at the end, you know, in book 1, you know, they have that mark, and it's like, Gabby is hurt, you know, it burns, or if she's dead or the deal's off, it goes away. And it literally goes away at the end, and people are like, nah, it's a trick. And I'm just like, yeah, it's a trick. Like,
We're all trying to like rationalize it.
yeah.
I was in denial. That was my first stage of grief, was denial. Diana went straight for the kill. I was like, no, she's alive.
Yeah.
She's alive. Even when like
But
she
yeah.
was dead and like you see her body, I was like, she can come back. Like
Yeah,
until
she's
like,
gonna
like
wake
until
up.
like, the ashes were like being scattered, I was like, oh, like, oh my God.
You're like, okay, well,
Come back.
this is where we're going.
No, but
Yeah.
I did. I mean, like you said, I really loved how you kept Diana kept saying, like you said,
Yeah.
if something happens to my sister, like, that's it. So, like, yeah, you stay true to her character.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with, you know, the hand. They kind of all had to come to terms with her and her actions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a reader, same. Like, I mean, I don't condone, you know, all of that violence in real
Yeah.
life. In a book, I love
Oh,
it.
of course.
But, yeah, I'm like, I forgive her. If I forgive
Same
her,
thing,
everybody should.
too, like
Yeah.
you learn a lot about her in book 1, so you understand that like it wasn't like she's choosing to do this. Like she was basically doing this for Caden. And
Yeah.
then like Amber was saying, like you took the one thing away from her that's like that only mattered to her.
Yeah.
So, like you expect that to happen. But even like when you kind of get the flashbacks of how Caden and her were like friendly and like kind of like one-sided in love, both-sided in love, but like
Yeah.
it was like it seemed like it was okay. Like the partnership wasn't a bad one. She didn't feel so forced to like do like what she needed to do. And then when she walks in seeing Caden, like he starts stripping down like these layers of Diana,
Yeah.
like, making her into what she is. So like,
Yeah.
you know what? Like girl fucking power. Like you gotta kill people to fucking prove a point. I'm here for it.
We're really
Feminism.
What's that Lady Gaga sound? I don't something about the glorification of murder, but I do believe in the empowerment of women. Oh,
With women, yes.
Yes.
that's the one.
That is
Yeah.
Diana to a T.
To a
Yeah.
T.
To a
I
T.
will say, like, I loved, like, getting more of, like, the hand too. Like, again,
Yeah.
Teresa and I were texting about this. Like, Victor, or not Victor. Victor? No.
Vincent.
Yeah.
Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
We were like, he's a shady motherfucker.
Everyone,
Like, there's
all the
something
arc readers were just
suspicious
like,
about it.
What's going on with him? Why is he so aggressive? Why does he not like her? Why is this? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean? I have
I
no
don't know.
idea.
You gotta keep
Yeah.
reading the book.
People sent me like rat
And I'm, like,
emojis.
almost like, yeah.
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 But literally,
Freaking no. And then like so I'm just a huge fan of any golden retriever type of character. So like Cameron,
Oh, I love Cameron.
I was just like
Yeah.
living for that. And
Yes.
I am in like not fantasy, but like I read a lot of hockey romances. So the minute I was like are we
Hello.
gonna get these two?
What's this mean?
And they're
Yeah.
just so in love.
Yeah, no, I love them. Cameron and
But-
Xavier. And that's what's funny, though, too, in the first book. Like, you see, like, a hint of them, and I already know everything, and, you know, Doug's, etc. So I got so excited when you just, like, heard their names, and I'm like, oh, that's them. And then I'm like, Amber, they haven't even read book 2. They're not obsessed with them yet. Like, I was like, never mind. So when
No.
book 2 came out,
It's
and you
coming,
get the
it's coming.
POVs, and yeah, when you get the POVs and you meet them, and, like, these, like, mischievous duo, like... It was so fun, and the reception
Yes.
for Cameron has been great, which I love.
but it's fun.
I am,
it's
like,
fun
the-
to almost, it's
I'm
fun
the
to almost have, like,
president
of
of
Cameron.
the Cameron fan club.
Cameron, oh, yeah, we need shirts.
I like Logan. You can have Cameron. I like too, but I like Logan. But
Oh,
it's
love
but it's
Logan.
fun to like get these side characters that are obviously like very big involved side characters. And
Yeah.
start like picking like your favorite traits. Like, do you have a favorite of them, or are they kind of like all your
So I
babies?
don't really. I like them all, which sounds so. Is that pretentious? I don't know, but like I do like them all for
Yeah.
different reasons and stuff. You know what I mean? I love Logan and Nevra, their marriage, and I made a video about that on TikTok where it's like they're the only like stable relationship where everyone else is having like relationship problems. But I love
Yeah.
They're
Logan
okay,
and
they're
Nevra.
together and they're doing well.
Yeah, they are really are like the rock in this like found family. Love Cameron, I love Xavier, I love Imogen, and by the way, side note, I had so many people when the book, you know, the arcs were going out or the book's coming out, and they're like, Imogen's gonna come back and she's gonna be such a bitch and blah blah, and like Diana and her are gonna hate each other, and I'm saying like, so she's actually one of the nicest exes Liam's ever had. I wouldn't
Yeah.
worry about
Yeah,
her.
she's so kind.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
like,
No.
yeah, she was like, we just like did stuff because, you know, war and battle and blah blah blah, like, you know, they were just like fuck buddies. It wasn't anything serious, and they both knew that, and they both talked about it because, you know, even with, you know, Liam's history, Sam Keel's history and stuff, like, he's always been open and honest with the people he's with, which you kind of saw in book 1. So it was never just like, you know, we're gonna be a relationship, you know, so no one was butthurt. But yeah, it was
Yeah, and
it was funny.
I was gonna say I appreciate that so much because I feel like a lot of times in books, like authors kind of, I hate like when two women are fighting over like a man.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love a like a little jealousy trope. Like I love that Diana was like jealous
Oh,
of the
she was
relationship.
100%,
But I
yeah.
like that. Yeah, but I love that like they, you know, at a certain point she's like, you know what? Yeah, like she's not a threat. They became friends, and like there was none of that like he's my man first.
Yeah, no.
Oh god, that like really bugs me when I'm reading sometimes. I'm like, oh, have some self-respect. You're better than these
Yeah.
men. So yeah, so I like appreciated that. I was like, good, I'm happy. Like I love a female friendship too in books. I feel like a lot of times we don't really get to see that, especially in fantasy books. It's normally, you know, about a war. But you wrote in like that female friendship and that like, you know, them doing face masks
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, exactly.
And I loved that.
Yeah. And that was a big thing too, which you'll kind of notice, which by the way, I love. This is a spoiler chat because I got some, but like that was kind of another thing that you noticed on the beach when they were there. It was not only had Sam Keel pretty much put a claim on Diana in front of like the whole council in front of the Hand, like, you know, pretty much all this stuff, but you see that with the Hand being like, his family, but also like his guards, I guess, in a way. Where on the beach, when Imogen's going over there to like sit with them, like they're all quiet and waiting because they're like they want Diana to accept her on her terms, so that they're just like, okay, cool, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was another thing that made me
Yeah.
happy that some people have picked up on too. It was like, they just want to coexist, like they want to be with her too because they know how much she means to him and he means a lot to them. So they were just like, are they gonna be friends? Is Diana gonna kill her? Like,
I, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that they were so, like, again, like, she's causing all this destruction. She's doing all this killing. She's, like, she's on a warpath, Diana. And, like, I really like that you did it, too. Like, they were so accepting of her regardless. Because, and I like that you put this in there, too. Like, if roles were reversed for, like, Logan, like, wouldn't you do the same to get back your girl? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you do that for your family, whether it's, like, by blood family, if you're close to them, or, like, your found family. And it's true, like, any of these other characters would probably do what Diana's doing. Maybe not to the fullest extent, but, like, of some sort, to get retribution for, like, the person they loved also. So, like, I like that they were, though, like, okay, yeah, she's a badass and, like, doing bad things, but, like, we would still take her in no matter what because we understand what she's going through.
Yeah, because
like, I like that, too. Like, it wasn't like, okay, we're finally getting back together, and it's like, we don't like you. Like,
yeah, no.
like, this is...
And they understand. I mean, it took a little bit for them to understand, of course. Sam Keel was telling them about that, but, like, everyone experiences grief differently, which was a big theme in this book as well. But you got, like you said, though, everyone would do the same thing. Logan, in his own way, did the same thing when Nevra was gone. Like, he broke the rules. He kept going out regardless of Sam Keel telling him, like, hey, do not do this again. Like, and to him, that's a big deal because they do, in their own way, follow orders, but not necessarily because, like, Sam Keel's never treated them like how the other gods treated the other Celestials and stuff, but just because he, like, genuinely cares and worries about them. But, like, in Logan's own way, that was him having his Diana moment, where breaking out, sneaking out, and stealing the map and doing all this for Nevra, So, yeah, they'd all do it.
Yeah.
Little different, but they'd all do it.
But you're right.
I mean, Cameron does it at the end when he, accepts
for Xavier.
Caden's blood to save Xavier.
And,
Like, to
I
be
mean,
with
that
Xavier
was-
and to keep an eye on him. Like,
And
they're
even
all.
Diana
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that was kind of hinted at in book 1, too, when Ezekiel was like, oh, Cameron would like you because they're similar in a way. And I thought that was kind of full circle at the end where it's like, they really are similar.
Yeah, that's true.
I loved that scene with Logan and I'm gonna butcher her name. Navara.
Never, yeah. No, you're good.
Never. Okay. Okay, sorry. The worst. But I love that scene so much because I feel like, again, this was like in the heart of like the Diana destruction warpath, and like they were willing just to die for her in that moment, to like help her escape, get away. Like they weren't gonna leave her behind. Like I remember getting to that part. I was on my couch and like. Mind you, I had like a newborn baby. My husband was like, "Hey, can you hold it for a second?" I was like, "No!" Like I need to like keep
I'm at a
seeing
good
what
part.
happens here. But it was like such a good scene.
Yeah.
Like it was just like such a good wholesome. Like I think that was like a scene that like stuck with me. I was like, what like a moment for them. Like,
Yeah. And I wanted
after
that.
everything she's done and like what you're putting your person through.
Yeah, and I wanted you guys to see the difference of like the family she came from and the family she like gets, you know what I mean? And they did put that in there too, where it's like you really need to get some good like better friends if you think we're going to leave you, kind of thing. And it's also that gradual acceptance where they talked about before, like off screen. Imogen mentioned it in that one fight scene, but where they talked off screen about like if this is who Sam Keel like loves or wants to be with and stuff, like we're not going to just abandon her. And so, like, you do get to see that in the end, and it's a shock to Diana, because she's like, I have X, Y, and Z, and done all of this stuff. Why are you still here? Why are you wanting to help me? And, it's a little crack in that armor for her again, where she sees, okay, well, maybe, I'm not going to let them die for me. I'm not going to do what happened before, like, I don't know. It was nice, and it was a good, and that's one of the main turning points, too, as well, where, that love seeps in, and she, for a brief moment, allows it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to just like remember that it's been how many years that she's been like that when she was turned, like 2,000 years. So she's been kind of tortured, emotionally abused, if you want to say, by Caden for that long. So it's hard for her to accept love and friendship
Yeah.
because for 2,000 years she never experienced that.
Well, just 1,000. So she's only 1,000, so not two. But yes, for 1,000
Okay.
years,
Yeah.
she has not experienced that. And the closest
Yeah.
thing she had to it was her sister, because that was her best friend, and that was who she talked to and called and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And she doesn't have that anymore. So that was another kind of like play on words as well, with her losing like her mortality in a way. Because her sister was like this moral compass for her. She has nothing, which, Rocky Aram tells her as well, like, talks with Camilla, like, she's alone. And then, learning what we did learn with Caden and why he treated her that way and pushed her away and, like, sectioned her off, kind of, it turns into a bigger deal where it takes her a while to realize maybe not everyone's bad, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a turning point for sure.
And I mean, I know you just pronounced his name. I'm gonna just call him Reggie.
I
I'm
know,
gonna
I
call
love
him
that name.
Diana.
I thought it was so cute. She
I-
was like, I'm gonna give you a
I
different
know.
name. Yeah.
I loved it. And like honestly, I do that when I'm reading a fantasy book and I don't know the pronunciation. I'll just give the character a new name
Yeah.
and like just say it in my head. So I was like, oh, perfect. It's Reggie
Reggie.
from now on. But I know that at the end, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
like we're like, did he betray them? I still trust him.
Which, I mean, technically you should. Um, So, like, sorry, my thing froze for a second. So you were talking about Reggie at the end. You said you still trust him at, like, the very end of the book, right? Okay, good. Okay, because I was like,
Yeah.
let me just, before we just start jumping ahead. But, yeah, and so I love that too. And like I said, I feel like we'll get more of that once the book's actually out. People will see it as well. But Reggie's been like Team Diana since the beginning. You know what I mean? And we'll like
Yeah.
divulge into that further later down the road. But I had so many people mad, so many ARC reviewers mad. They were just like, he betrayed her too with Vincent, and I'm just like, oh my god, what? And to see that, all along he's the one that's
No.
kind of been whispering about like, maybe you guys should take this trip longer and stay at Drake's, or maybe, whisper to Camellia about like this kiss
Yeah.
that they had in book 1, and like all this stuff to try to push these two people together. And he's like, literally at the end, he's like, girl, I tried.
Yeah.
So that was,
Literally,
like-
a girl,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
tried my best. Yeah.
He's running like the hashtag like ship
Yes.
Sam kill Diana like Twitter
Captain,
account.
just
So I'm
captain.
like, I still trust him. Like, it's yeah. Yeah,
I'm
he's
with
captain
you,
in the
T.
ship.
I still trust him also. Like, I mean, it was shocking to find out like that he was on the other team, but then like the last ditch effort, like in the end of the book,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, like there's something else. Like he is Team Diana through and through. The last 20% of this book, Teresa finished
Sweat.
it before I did.
Yeah.
So she was like, buckle up. And like, I kid you not, it was like one of those moments where I was like, okay, let me like maybe take a sweatshirt off.
yeah, like
Get to
gonna
the
run a
edge like the
marathon.
couch, like, and I feel like again I didn't stop. Like it was like I gotta read this through, and like you just like I feel like when I got done, it's like you'd go to like, why isn't this not swiping anymore?
You're like,
why
give
are
me
we?
more. Yeah.
What is happening? And then you just like sit there and you're like,
Stare at a wall.
what the
I
fuck did I
know.
just read?
Funny
Yeah,
story
no.
though. I got so nervous because
Amber.
someone had messaged me and they were like, "This is it. This is the end," and they sent like a part, and I was like, "Oh, did you not read the last chapter?" And I'm thinking that the arcs messed up and the last chapter wasn't added, and they're like, "No, I did. This is how, like, this is the part of ended." I was like, "Oh yeah, no, that's actually the end." And they're like, "What the?" Just like upset, and I'm just like, yeah. No, it was.
You're killing us with these cliffhangers.
Yeah,
I
everyone
know.
was like, they're too happy right now.
You like the
Something's
torture.
happening. And I'm just like, I thought book 2's
Something's
ending was
happening.
so much nicer than like book 1's. I was wrong.
Yeah.
It was great for like the whole first like 70%. The last 20, I was like,
A roller coaster
80,
for
80,
sure.
90, 20. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, it was reveal after reveal. It was great. How did you guys like the?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say like I mean I have
What happened? Am I delayed? Sorry,
I
I was
cut
gonna
you
say,
off
how did you
again.
guys like the higher one? That whole situation.
oh my god. I like literally what I was gonna say was the last. So I highlight like a freak, but every single reveal, I was like,
Oh my God.
like the last. I'm like looking at my highlights right now on my phone,
Yeah.
and like I feel like it started probably in like maybe like around chapter like 60. The amount of highlights, it becomes like every other word, like every other paragraph, I was like, this seems really important, this seems really important, this seems really important. No, the reveal of like all of them being related,
Oh my God,
that
I
was
know.
crazy. And then like, yeah, the like, I guess like the god or whatever. I mean, it makes sense why, I guess, in a way, why Vincent would betray them, because he was abused by
Yeah.
her for like his whole life. And probably still like has allegiances to her. But I mean, like they kept bringing her up, and I was like, that's kind of weird.
No,
Like,
I was.
why is like she like whatever?
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting
Oh,
her.
it makes me so happy because I'm like, am I adding her too much?
I also was not expecting.
Okay.
No, I thought
was
honestly,
perfect.
like I thought it was just like a plot device to explain like why Vincent
Yeah.
maybe was like acting the way that he was, so that we got a better understanding of him.
Yes.
So I was like, who is it? Who's pulling the strings? And then like she
Yeah.
walks out, and I'm like, oh, this motherfucker.
Fucking this bitch. Even like Azrael being Diana's
Yeah.
father, like I was like,
That was
what?
I
Did
did not
read
ex-
that correct?
I did not pick up on that.
that
at
was the
all.
one I get
Me
yelled at
neither.
first for, and I was thinking that they found
but,
out
like-
about Kaden, right? But they were like Azriel's daughter, and I was like, think of the breadcrumbs in book 1 when you know, Kaden just kept saying, no, you'll just know the book when you're near it. You'll just know. And she's like, okay, maybe because it's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's because of the, you know, familial connection. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was fun.
So do you have like essentially every? No, that was fun, but like, so okay, so like, because everything's tying in, so you're right. Like, you have to follow the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Like, do you essentially kind of have all the books in this series like
Yeah.
mapped out, essentially, so you can kind of like go back and play?
Yeah,
Okay.
so stuff
That
that's
makes a lot of
even there's
sense. I
stuff
don't
that's
know how
even
you do
mentioned
that
in
usually, but, like,
book 2
I
that
commend
comes
you.
up later. So I leave little, you know, little bits of
I'd have
foreshadowing.
to go
I
back.
leave little bits of like breadcrumbs and stuff, stuff that's talked about or mentioned, and then it's explored later down the road. So I have pretty much all the books like plotted. I know what's happening in all of them, even though if like say for example with book 3, like we're like deep into that one and getting that finished, and then like book 4 I have like the premise and stuff that's gonna happen, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all connected. It'll all blend together, you'll see.
So cool.
Yeah, it's
You writers are fucking geniuses. Like, I just don't understand how you guys do this, and I like am envious. But you guys are so freaking cool that you can. Do
I was
all
gonna say,
that.
I was gonna ask if it was all plotted like before you wrote the first one, because I feel like sometimes authors are like, "Oh, it's gonna be 3 books," and then all of a sudden it's like
Yeah.
5, and I'm like,
so
"But you have the whole series."
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I mean, you can always add more if
Yeah,
you need
so
more
I
time
was
to tell the
talking
story,
about
but
that.
you have it pretty much
Yeah,
plotted.
no, so absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But no, absolutely. I was talking about that with like my publisher and everything as well too, because when I got with them, you know, I was thinking like I was like, I know where the story's going, I know what's happening, and you guys saw with how book 2 ends, how the world opens up quite literally. And I was telling her, and I was like, you know, the
Literally.
people I was with before were like, we could do this in a trilogy. And I was like, there is no way I can fit every single thing into 3 books. That it stresses me out. I can't do it.
No.
And they were like, girl, if you need to do 12 books, we'll do it. And I was like, I don't think I'll need 12, but so for right now, it's a good 6 to 7. And the only thing is I can't tell if 7's either going to be the final book or a novella that gives you like even more happy things. So that's the only thing that's like kind of up in the air, because like you said, I did plot, I have it outlined, but once you get into the books, in the meat of the books, stuff of course can change or go a different path or etc. And instead of me writing like, you know, these massive 1,000-page books, that's when you kind of split them up and can get longer. But
Yeah.
I like that you're doing that.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Because there's nothing intimidating, or more intimidating than like a 12.
Yeah.
12 oh my god, I can't talk. This is fucking pregnancy brain. Not pregnancy brain. I'm not pregnant anymore. I'm okay. But like sometimes those like big thick books
Yeah.
can be intimidating. But I like that you're keeping them like manageable.
I'm trying to. And so, like, that's the thing with 2, which I was kind of worried about, is because I knew it was going to be really big, but it's because of all the stuff we had to go through. There was no way I could chop, cut, remix Diana's grief and healing and make it palatable, but also something that's realistic for her character. Like it was just going to take a minute, you know what I mean? And when people got in the book, they kind of see that too because they're like, "When's this or when's that?" And I was like, "It's happening. I've told everybody I promise happiness, but like she lost the most important person in her life. It's going to be a little bit before she's ready to like open up more to like Sam Keel, you know what I mean? So I knew book 2 was going to be thick.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I knew book 2 was going to be thick, and I mean I like big books anyways. Book 3 probably be like in between book 1 and 2, but yeah, just for the amount of stuff we had to go through.
But it makes sense for like what you're saying. Like I think you're paying true to who Diana is as well. Like you didn't want to just brush over her grief because that's not who Diana is. Like it wouldn't be brushed over. So like I think you're being. You know what? You're fucking awesome because like you're being true to like, who your characters are and like we love you. Like, but you're being realistic and like that's awesome. And like I'm like you. Like I like big books. Like to me like anything that's like 800 and under, it's like that's a fantasy book.
And you get that leeway with fantasy. You get that leeway because like you know what you're dealing with and what you're getting into. So it kind of helps. But I appreciate that.
Yeah, and you want to. I mean. You can run into, if you do cut it down too much, you kind of then toe the line of not giving the story what it needs for people to care about the characters or to care about 100%. The story. Like, I felt like this book, like, obviously there was, like, the plot was moving and things were happening, but I feel like it was so much more of, like, a character development book, which I think was kind of perfect to get people... Like more again, obviously we get POVs from the hand, so it gets people caring more about the side characters. But we felt, I mean, at least the two of us, but I'm assuming everybody felt this way. We loved Sam and Diana so much in book 1 that if we felt like their development was being rushed or just kind of like put on the back burner, it would have, I feel like, been a disservice to them. So, I mean, like, it was hard to read about all of her grief, and, like, obviously it did go on for a long time, but it made sense for the character.
And then you get them together, and then it's, like, it's even better. You know what I mean? Like, there was no... And because, of course, they want each other. It's the same feelings they had in book 1. It's just this roadblock, which we know now why there was a roadblock, because they couldn't be together. It was just this roadblock to prolong this, so this, the actual villain can show up.
But when the tension, like when they do have those interactions, like it's like you like salivate because you're like, oh my god, this is so good. But
I was yelling at my Kindle, and I was like, when they're like, oh my Amada, is that
you're saying
that right? Yeah. Okay. When he's like, oh, she's dead, and I'm like, you idiots!
I like that you guys, of course, like I said, you guys are freaking phenomenal. Like, all my readers, I freaking love it. Because they were like, as soon as they mentioned, they were like, well, technically she did die this one time.
She did die.
That's what I said!
I was like, I mean, you're not wrong.
I was like...
I won't tell you that.
I was like, you idiots! They're all like, even like Logan's like, well, that's how I felt about Nev, like, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, because you guys are freaking mates, you idiots.
That's how I also felt about, like, the Reggie stuff, too. Like, he's spewing some freaking, like, crazy twist. Like, it's not clear-cut what he's saying, but, like, they're like, it's just him talking. I'm like, pay attention! Like, this is gonna be something.
I know, Cameron's like, he's really weird sometimes. I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah, like, in the back of my mind, thinking, like, Cameron's, like making those, like, funny faces at everyone else. Like,
exactly.
I'm like, I think you guys should really listen to this.
100%. And then Reggie, because like with his tone and stuff in the book and how he goes, like he does kind of talk in past, present, and future because like he sees and knows all. And so I think that's why in the characters, given the benefit of the doubt, they're like, what the is he talking about? Like, so I get it. But yeah, no, it was 100% accurate.
Sorry, you're also being so kind, like not cursing, and I'm like, so
no, you're great, you're great.
I just thought it was like so funny, like they're just like having conversations with him, and then like all of a sudden they're like, oh, and then his like 6 other eyes popped out.
And I have like a picture, so it was like it's 2 above here, the regular ones, and then 2 below, and they're like white, and so that's when he's like connected to the cosmos, I guess you can say. And so that was kind of cool for me. But yeah, when that happens, I'm like, like you said, pay attention. So, yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Yeah, I was highlighting every time, like every time they mentioned like his six eyes, like whatever he said next, I was like, this feels like it's
Highlight,
really
highlight.
important. I don't know what any of it means, but I'm highlighting
One of my
it.
favorite, I have the whole book's my favorite scene, like my favorite thing, whatever. But one of my favorite scenes is Diana just busting him out of like his prison. She's like, "All right, well, you're just with me now," and he's like, "Cool, you know,
Yeah.
I'll hang out with you.
Cool.
That's
Sure,
fine."
here I am.
Mhm.
And I could be wrong, but I was gonna say I think it's funny and like obviously correct me if I like got this part wrong. But he he's not like human or anything, so he just like sees like a male model
Yeah, and
like
he
on like
was
a
like,
billboard
"I'll
or
look
like
like
whatever,
that."
and he just like
Yeah,
molds
he's like,
himself.
"I look like that."
Yeah.
So that was 100% exactly what he did. Because
Okay.
with
amazing.
Reggie and like his siblings and whatever. So, like I told everyone in the beginning, like when I first started promoting the book, that like my book deals with like a hint, like a sprinkle of Greek mythology and stuff. So like you'll see like words or people or etc. from that, but it still won't be like actual full Greek myth. And so with Reggie being a fate, you know, in Greek mythology, there's three of them. And so with, you know, even the siblings, with him, I wanted him to have like three floating heads that would be past, present, and future. So they all counterclockwise. And so that's why in the real world, he has the eyes because he doesn't have the heads, you know? So he's like,
I love
That's
that.
so cool.
um,
Like,
that
look
is
at
really
that
cool.
soft
all,
power right
all the
there.
brain power. But no, I loved his character, and I love that Diana kind of has like her court, and then Sam Keel has his court, you know? Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. I think people were like, "Oh, Diana's gonna kill Camilla," and even though Diana's in her grief and evil and mean and stuff, like the fact that Camilla gave her like her sister back in a way sealed the deal where she wasn't going to, even when she's upset with her, because you know that's what she was looking for when she dipped out 2 weeks prior. She was like, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so,
I'm kind of hoping we see, and I mean, you don't have to tell us, but like, I'm hoping to see a bit more of Camilla because I feel like
She's
there's
a cool
something-
character.
She's a cool character. I think there's something there that she could potentially probably help with maybe down the road. No idea what that
Yeah.
could be, but like, I just feel like we're not done with her yet. Like, there's gonna be more with her, and like, and if she's there, like, I'm excited for it. Just to kind of, again, we got to know all the other characters, so it's
so you're like, now I want to
awesome
deep
kind of
dive
learn
in
a little
even
bit
more of
about
them.
her as
Yeah.
well.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, give us more of this girl. So, like, I cannot wait to see where you take us, because where you took us, even with book 2, I was like, this was not where my, like, first off, I suck at breadcrumbs. But, like, I had no idea this was where we were going, and, like, it was an amazing ride. So, like, I can only imagine what you're going to give us in the
You
future.
were like, yeah.
Do you have, like, a favorite book you're going to, like, you have, like,
I
you think that- or is
will
gonna be a favorite
say
book of yours?
so. So I have like my Facebook like spoiler page, fan page, you know, whatever that everybody talks in, and I've told them before in there where I was like, I feel like in the series, book 2 definitely was like the heaviest when it comes to themes because, like I said, we're dealing with Diana's grief, how people process that, etc., and those feelings as well. Although I do like feel like book 1 dealt with like, you know, PTSD and trauma really well too, but it wasn't as like as you know, into it as we are in book 2. But I will say that book 3 has been pretty fun. Book 3 is hilarious.
Yeah.
Which I guess sounds funny given what happened in book
Excited.
2. But I don't know if I have like a favorite book in the series. I feel like as of right now, maybe book 3 will be it. But there's a lot of cool stuff that happens in like 4, 5, and etc. So it's just gonna depend. But yeah, that's been kind of cool.
It's probably just such an experience for each book
Yeah.
to write it. Like, I'm sorry to even ask for like a favorite because it's probably like they're all your favorites.
Yeah,
Like, your babies.
yeah.
So, but it's probably like such a cool experience to kind of like go through each book and like what you're giving us. And like you're saying, it's going to be funny for 3, whereas like we just came out of like some heavier stuff in 2. So like it's cool to probably write all
Yeah.
that also.
And
like,
I
you're
feel
giving
like-
yourself like an experience.
I feel like with every book, you know, we're getting, like you said earlier, with book 2, we got so much character development, and you're like into these characters, and you see their feelings, etc., which was a lot of fun. And so with book 2, I loved that because, like in book 1, I could only give everyone so much without spoiling. And so, like, it was still, like, tiptoeing around this stuff. And then in book 2, it's just, like, blown up. And I really did enjoy, you know, exploring Diana and Sam Keel's feelings because, like, you know, we were working on those in book 1. And book 2 is just, like, where do you think you're going? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
I love their banter. Like, I think they're so funny.
I do too.
like Diana actually is funny, and
Yes.
his just like reactions
He
to
just-
her
and-
are just like
and
hilarious.
It's funny from the outside perspective because you have these like two immovable, powerful like beings who are other
Yeah.
people may be scared of, but they're not scared of each other, and so like they will butt heads, and they continue to butt heads, but they will like butt heads and stuff, and it's like she's trying to be intimidating, but he's not intimidated for what reason she thinks he is, and then like vice versa. And so that was really fun because it's like, you know, they can kind of play off each other. Because like she'll snap back and he's like not afraid to snap back, and it's like it's what she needs, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And that was
Yeah.
kind of mentioned in you know, book 2. It's like, you know, Gabby was like her heart in a way, and then like, you know, he's like her soul, which, you know, soulmates and stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, so it you know, you get two of the best parts of her that make her better, and you just kind of see that in, you know,
Yeah.
book 2 as well, because he's not giving up on her. Sorry, Diana. I know you
No,
want him to
and
like
another-
leave, but he's not leaving. Yeah.
He's staying right there. No, another thing that I really loved that I wanted to bring up because I thought it was just like so genius of you. Obviously, every time Diana is like
Yeah.
in her feels, you kind of get the same like little
Oh,
quote
I
or
understand
blurb
that.
or whatever, being like a door in a house rattles, and then you know at the end, she opens the door and
Yeah.
Gabby's there, and you get this like really nice moment.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad like comparing like books to other books, but it was just it kind of gave me from Crescent City like the whole like
Uh-huh.
Bryce and Danica moment where you get that like you finally get these like two people like back together for like this moment, and it like means so much to the story.
Yeah.
And like the whole time, you know, I'm like, all right, when she opens this door in her brain, like what is going to be there? Like what is going to happen? And you get this like really like special moment.
Yeah,
with
I like
Gabby.
that, and I'm glad that everyone liked it, because at first I was worried that people were like, "This is the weirdest sentence. Like, what does it mean?" But it really is just the metaphor of when you experience certain levels of grief and/or trauma, you have that response where you shut it out or you lock it away. And Diana, you know, it's talked about in a flashback as well that Diana's really good at locking down her emotions or locking things away, and so I actually had that just in the book, you know, and so. You know, she uses the house that her and Gabby first got together, and like she locks like these feelings behind it. And those feelings are two things. It's one, that she's in love with this man, and she feels guilty that she was with him when the other person that she loved more than anything is taken. And then at the fact that she feels even more guilty because when she was taken for just a brief second, it meant nothing, but like for a brief second, she thought like, this one calm sense of ease where like she's not under Caden's thumb anymore if something happened to Gabby, like she's free in this way, and then like she just hated herself for it. And so like it was like these two big things that she just locked away, and it like eats away at her, but like you see it when you read it, you know what I mean? And so for her to finally, like you said, Gabby was that, I guess in a way you could say, a key, because she was able to like unlock that door. And I thought it was kind of funny though, that the reason why she was there is because like you have these spirits or like these higher like just astral plane, like you know Sam Teal's dad and stuff is like, we gotta call in the big guns because she's not opening this door. Like, and so Gabby just like shows up like, so by the way, we gotta wrap this up. we gotta help.
Yeah.
Get over yourself. I'm fine.
Yeah. The world's cracking open. The man you love's, I think, in trouble.
You need
We
to get
gotta
together. Yeah.
you gotta
You
come
gotta
on. You
wrap
gotta
it
turn
up,
these
girl.
powers back on.
But I think it was a really nice like tribute to like you again, like this book was heavy about grief and like going through the stages. Like I thought it just wrapped it up very nicely. Like it would have been okay if you didn't write it in, but since you wrote it in, like I thought it was so special and like again, I feel like it's like a good moment. Will Diana still have like this grief for her sister being gone? Absolutely. Like you can understand that now moving forward, but like I just think it kind of like tied it all up really nicely, that like this bit, like Teresa was saying, like this one moment with these two characters again, and like what a better send off of like you're the person you love most to be like, I love you, like this wasn't your fault, like please, like go live, like I lived but you never lived, now you go live.
It made me
Like,
cry.
it just,
I
like,
won't lie.
It was a really nice, I can only imagine because it was like such a touching moment, like it just
And I
like,
think
I don't know.
I was gonna say, I
was so
think as like,
nice.
people who, I mean, everybody has lost somebody who's important to them, and we don't get that opportunity to
No,
have that like
yeah.
one final conversation. So I just like loved reading about it. I thought it was just
Yeah.
like it, like obviously like what I just said, it was just like such a special
Agreed.
moment, and I think it kind of like lets the story progress now, like from Gabby's death. Like, of course, she'll
course.
always play a role in
Yes.
Diana's life, but you can
Yeah.
kind of like close that
You
chapter
get
and
that
be like, okay,
closure.
like now like
You're
what's the
saying
next
exactly
thing
what I
we
was
do?
trying to say.
No,
but I can't get the
100%,
words
and
out
you
of my mouth.
you
But
get
yeah,
that
you're right.
closure,
Like,
and
this is
um,
yeah.
not to get super personal, but like I've lost several people and stuff in my life as well. And so like that was one of the big things when I was writing this. It was like I would love to have that moment, and not just a moment where it's
Yep.
like for my own selfish gain, like to have this like last goodbye, but to be able to see like the person that you love the most and that you've lost. And so I wanted that for her, and I still wanted it to be impactful. So it wasn't going to be just a random moment.
Yep.
But you do kind of see throughout the book as well that, we keep mentioning that star that she looks at or something. And so, like, Gabby's always, like,
Yep.
watching over her, which I feel like we all feel that way with
Yeah.
people that we've lost as well. Like, there and they're watching over you. So
Yeah.
I still wanted that for her as well, too. But I am glad that you guys liked that as much as I did. And it was emotional. But I mean, she was right. Gabby's always been right, though. She was like, listen, like you said, I've lived.
Gabby's always been
You
right.
haven't. Like, get to it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and that's the
Yeah.
tough love Diana
And
needs.
like Gabby's the younger
Yeah,
sister.
yeah.
That's what I.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I'm a big sister, so like I feel like to watch like your younger sibling, even if it was your older sibling, but like I think there's something like a little bit special from like an older sibling standpoint. Like I'd want to make sure my sister
Yeah.
was okay. Like yes, it'd be like the big person I left. But, like I also think like seeing her and knowing like she's not miserable wherever she is. Like she's still Gabby, and like she's still the same human, like the same person essentially over there. Like it probably made Diana feel good too. Like she's
Yeah.
all right. Like
And that was, like you said, that's that
what
piece.
happened to her was
And
terrible.
as soon as she got that, her
Yeah.
next motive was, okay, well, I gotta leave because I have to go fight a goddess now
I gotta go
for the
fuck shit
man
up.
that I love.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
see you later, Gabby. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
in a nice way,
Yeah.
but like,
Yeah.
and it's definitely what she needed. I feel like that was two big moments. One was the letter that like first like cracked open and allowed.
Yeah.
And so like I guess kind of the metaphor I had in there was like this steel wall and like armor that she like encased herself in to protect her heart because it's damaged and stuff. And that letter was one that just allowed like a fissure to make easier for like Sam Keel to kind of heal. And so that was one. And then when you, like you said, in this house, you see Gabby and you talk to Gabby, and like that was the final thing to like, kind of like wash over her. And it fixed in its own way what was broken, but she's still gonna have she's always gonna carry Gabby with her, and she's still gonna have like issues with losing her, stuff like that. But like you said, it did help her like heal, and she's ready to in her own way like live her life now. You know what I mean? Like she's no longer anyone's like I guess puppet in a way.
No. Yeah, and the end with Sam, my boy
My boy
Sam.
Sam.
I won't call him Sammy because that's Diana's
It makes him
nickname for
weak in the
him.
knees. That was it for him. He heard it one
know,
time and he
it's-
was like, "Oh my god."
He's like,
Yeah.
I got
Say it
it. Yeah.
again. Say it again.
But like he is this
Yeah.
all-powerful God. Like all we're told is that he's so powerful. He like can't be defeated as long as he's alive.
Yeah,
like
the world's
everything's
fun.
great.
Everything's great.
Yeah. And then you kind of see, at the end, obviously, that he is like, he does have
Yeah.
weaknesses.
Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
be
They've been working
defeated.
on it for a while.
And it, yeah.
Yes.
And it kind of puts it into perspective. Like, I think it just makes the story, I would say, like, more
Yeah.
believable in a way. Because nobody is above.
But he's 100%. And
Like-
I truly think it does
Yeah, like,
make it more
it makes
believable.
him-
Like there's a saying,
Yeah.
'cause I'm also an anime girly, but like with your characters, they can't be too OP, which is like overpowered. And so like yes, I set it up that
Yeah.
way that he's like the best swordsman, best fighter, and he's blah blah this and that. But I did it for a reason because everything has a weakness, and like him thinking he's untouchable, and then to see that he can be touched puts a whole new level of like fear into like stuff that's happening because
It
it's
makes the
very-
stakes higher for like the whole story.
and the stakes will remain high there's a spoiler for you.
Yeah.
The stakes will remain high because, like I said,
All right.
anyone can be touched. So, um, yeah, when they had the
Yeah.
chains and all this stuff, and that whole ending scene though too got me teary eyed even with edits. So I was waiting for everyone to yell at me. They're like, "You better not,"
I mean, like, I assume at the end of however many books that we will have a happily ever after for our boy and Diana. I'm going to
We
believe
have
that.
faith.
But that doesn't mean that I wasn't like literally like I'm always in
Yeah.
like sweatpants, sweatshirt, like
Sweating.
blanket. I'm always bundled. I was sweating. Like literally like threw the blanket off, took my sweatshirt off.
Like, what's
I'm like,
What's happening?
what is gonna
Don't end it
happen?
this way. Yeah.
I
I don't,
anticipate
like,
being
yeah.
put through the ringer with you for our
Yeah.
hopeful happy ending. That's what I'm anticipating.
I love being put through the ringer. It makes the end.
much
It makes
It
the
makes everything
ending
so much
Yeah.
better.
so much better.
Do you have a potential? I know book 2 is just so like. I apologize for even asking, but like, do we have like a potential thought of like when book 3 might grace us? With its presence?
Kind of. I don't know if I'm allowed to say though. So I'll
Okay.
Sorry,
we'll
just kidding.
keep that under wraps. But kind of, yeah.
in the works. It's
Book
in the
3
works.
is technically. I wouldn't say done because there's a lot of stuff I'm still fleshing out, but like it's not like we're starting from like chapter 1, so you guys will be happy. And I like to do that anyways with my
Okay.
books. So, while book 3, I send book 3 off to the editor, like I'm already doing book 4, but that's just because my brain constantly does not
Yeah.
shut up. So I'm just like, let's go. So, yeah. So no, and I'll be happy.
It's so funny because like you put all this work and effort and time into this, and it's like we read it in hours, and we're
I
like,
was
where's
so
the next one? And it's like I just finished. This.
I know, and people are like, when's the next one? I was like, technically this one's not even out. But it was so funny to me because I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to
Yeah.
give the book, and you have arcs and stuff. And I'm like, they'll probably finish in like a few days. And then people are like, I stayed up for 24 hours. And I'm like, what? So,
That has
That's
to be
probably
such
such
a
a cool
crazy. Right, it has to be such a
Yeah.
crazy feeling.
I'm like, I really thought this was going to take days,
I
man.
mean, like, yeah, and like, I mean, it's like your art. Like, you pour like your heart and soul into
Yeah.
something, and like, you probably are
I
just
know,
like, I
and
hope
I'm like,
one
I hope
person reads it and
one
loves
person
it,
likes
and now,
it, and then like to have you guys, cheer and laugh and cry over the same things I did, it means the world. And I tell people all the time, I was like, what can I give you guys? Can I just give you the world? I don't know if that's possible and or legal, but we'll try. Like it just makes me want to give back. That's just me as a person. I'm just
Yeah.
like, what do we want to do? So no, it does mean the world, and I love how much you guys all love it. It makes me so happy, especially all the torture I put you through.
Katie knows this about me. I love a book that I'm like not
Mm-hmm.
an emotional person. I don't cry. I'm like very like, I don't know. I'm weird. Katie knows I love a book that like will make, even though like I won't cry over it, like I'll feel like really sick about it and like I'll think about it for like
Yeah.
like for
You love
days.
feeling
Like
the
I
feels.
love that, and like that's what like that was
You're like,
that's
I think
these
of what it is.
books.
I feel so privileged, honestly. I'm gonna like get an award
You
and just
should,
name
honestly.
it
It's a
the
big deal.
Teresa Award. Yes, I'm
Send
gonna
you
get a trophy.
The award of making me feel
Sick,
so
but
sick
at the same
for
time,
days.
So happy. But no, I loved it, and I love how
Yeah.
you guys all reacted to like the different plot twists and stuff. Because I'm like, they're gonna know.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone was like, Caden something because he knows X, Y, and Z, and I was like, I know that's so weird, right? He knows so much family stuff. Peculiar.
It's got to be so hard when people slide into like your messages or text messages
Mm-hmm.
and they're saying all these things to you. Like I'm like someone who like. Well,
Yeah.
okay, screw it, I'll just tell you. But it's like it's probably so
Uh-huh.
hard to like keep it all bottled. Like,
I was like, I don't know anything. I'll send like the popcorn emoji or like, I know nothing. What? Until they finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I don't want to spoil it. I never would. I want the
No,
genuine reactions and stuff, So.
that's what makes
Well,
it so fun.
We can't wait for more.
You
You're
guys are
phenomenal.
the best.
Your
I'm
work
so
is
glad.
Phenomenal. You're just also like the nicest human being. Like you're a pleasure to
That's so
speak
kind.
with. Like
I love
message
you
back and
guys.
forth
I just
with.
am glad to be
you're
here.
such
I'm
an
glad I
awesome
was here.
person.
I'm glad we could do this little continuation. Like I said, because you guys did book one,
Yeah.
and I was like, I loved that freaking podcast. It was so funny. I was like giggling to myself. They're like,
You, it was It was like last July, so it's almost a
And
year.
you guys were
since
asking
then.
questions on that
Yeah.
one, right? And then I'm over here with book 2, like,
Yeah.
they're gonna find out, you know?
Got
Yeah.
the answers. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, because I think like I want to go back and listen to that one to see
You
like
should, yeah.
if we got anything right. I don't think anything that I thought was gonna happen. I think I was way off base.
We'll theorize,
but
and we're so off our marks most of the time.
I'm always off my mark. My theories are never right, like
Same.
ever. But I
It's
have
fun.
fun doing it. It's fun.
It's always a good time, especially in like these
Yeah.
kind of books. Like you want to guess, like, and figure out, like, if you could even figure out where someone else is
Yeah.
going with something.
It's all fun.
But yeah, I mean, like, thank you so much for
thank
coming
you.
on. Like, we appreciate it. We appreciate your work. We were like just so thankful even to get an
Yeah.
art.
you.
I just want to really quick just show, which I know that we posted already, but this.
That is the best thing in the entire universe.
So obviously, if you're just listening and not watching, the bookmark that is the friggin' photo booth strip.
Polaroid.
I
It's
know,
so
look, and I
good.
couldn't say anything
Amazing.
because we sold them at a Polycon too, and like, you know, they're like, I want a bookmark. I was like, you should totally get this one because it may play into like book 2. Yeah.
The book.
It's so good.
Take that.
I opened it and I was like, I screamed. I was like, oh my
It may be
god!
important.
They're so
Who
cute. I
knows?
love that. It was a great box.
Yeah.
It may be important.
Yeah.
I like that too. Like a little breadcrumb in your little your
Exactly.
items.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much again.
thank
Like,
you so
honestly,
Thanks for having me.
I mean, we're always in
Yeah.
each other's DMs, so I'm sure
Of
that we'll
course.
chat again. But
Happy back for book 3.
I mean, if you just, yeah, I mean, no, 100%, we're having you back for book 3. If you don't have a
Choices
say in it.
not
I will.
here.
I don't know
Yeah.
where you live, but I will come. I will come find you. But yeah, I don't know.
Thank you guys.
Thanks. And if you want to slide into our DMs and let us know when
Yeah,
book 3 is going to be
it's
released,
totally
we won't
fine.
tell anybody.
I'll-
It's like we won't.
we
won't
do
say
have a
anything.
title. I won't tell you the title, but there's a title, so you guys can have that breadcrumb.
Okay.
And
There's a title. There's
Yes.
a potential date. We don't know what they
Yes.
are, but
all
stay
will-
tuned.
All will be revealed. Cackles.